Hi, Mayor. How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Hey, I'm at Red Lion Brewing Company. Sounds like a good plan going on. Who owns that building right now? Is that owned by the city?
No, it's owned by a bank. Whatever. It was Redwood, and then Watertown Savings, and then there's some. It's a bank, basically.
How much is it being purchased for? Do you have any idea?
No idea, because it's a private transaction.
Okay. I mean, I didn't even know it was up for sale. I know whoever had purchased it before and the time before that, the math just never really worked out. It was like ended up being like $1 million building, wasn't it?
Well, no. I mean, obviously the economics of it didn't work out. So that's why it ended up like it did. Oh,
if it was purchased.
Oh, this picture of me voting there, my shirt tail was out. I should have.
If it was purchased for say $500,000, you'd still have to do $1,000 a day every day you were open, just to make the bank payment. I mean, before the city makes any agreement, shouldn't we have that all out in the open to say like, hey, why bother giving them any easement rights or doing anything unless we, let's not set anyone up to fail again. Those other two, they would just you could simply do the math and go, hey, you're not going to make,
yeah, but that's not a public sector decision. I mean, it's a privately owned piece of property that if the lenders decide they want to lend money for somebody to buy it, and there's an acceptable business plan that meets their criteria, that's the the idea of whether the city has to decide. That'd be like if we decide, well, we'd like you to revise your menu, so that type of.
No. The city's deciding whether or not they're going to work with them on the easement that they want to use. Isn't that correct? Isn't there some city property they want to be using?
Right. There's a deck that was built onto the building.
Right. Well, I would say before that easement grant is given, and maybe the easement grant isn't the right wording for it. Before there was anything agreed to or there's anything going on there, I think it should be shown whether or not it can make money or it's just going to lose off the top again, because that doesn't do any good to go through another situation like we had before. Of course, times have changed.
Well, that's a dicey business to get into. It's an old building that's difficult to heat. It's an interesting location in some ways. But, yes, it has failed twice before. So, obviously, whoever's putting up the money has some level of confidence in the ability to turn a profit there. So, we'll see. But, I mean...
Has the money already been secured for it yet?
My understanding is that they're... if they're buying it, they must have secured the money. But, again, that, without sounding flippant, really... how they get the money is not, my particular concern. Whether they've got a viable business plan, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know. It's curious to know, but it's none of my business, really.
Well, if it's not your business particular, but it'd be the city's. They're coming in asking the city for permission.
No, I think that my opinion, and my opinion is not shared by everyone. My opinion is the deck was inappropriately built, but it's there, and therefore, since it's going to be the only real potential user of it is the owner of that building, my personal feeling is I think we should have just sold them the area where the deck is and that type of thing. But they say it's encumbered because state funds were involved, so that's a problem. Normally, if you want to do anything with waterfront property, you have to get an act of the state legislature, but our state legislature refuses to meet, so you can't get that done. So I guess you got to gin up some kind of lease or license agreement or whatever you want.
Now, do you remember in the past who was giving out all this money? Was it some development something, or it wasn't just a bank?
No, the original owner, the Watertown Trust, lost a bundle on it, and then there was a bunch of other things done, but that's all water over the bridge, or under the bridge now. I mean, that's, as far as buying the building, I mean, that's, somebody apparently went to the bank with a purchase offer, this group of people, and apparently it was accepted, and apparently they have financing. Obviously, if they don't have financing, the bank's not going to sell it to them. So,
So it's not pending on a city's decision whatsoever. I mean, they can just go without that deck, have the deck tore down, or how would that work?
First of all, it's a pretty expensive structure. You're not going to tear it down at this point. And it would be instrumental to the success of it because people go to a place like that to eat outside. My own feeling, and again, it's not the majority feeling, is that structure has value, and if it can't be conveyed in terms of a sale, then the public should be compensated for its use.
Well, that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at, but we keep skating around that issue as though the city isn't involved, and I don't know why you're doing that.
Well, the city is involved in it.
I think the city should just make sure that everything's a clean deal before they get involved, and if we haven't done that so far, why haven't we? Isn't it pretty easy? Just ask the person, you have secured for this, how much did you pay for it, let's see what's going to go on. Because if you go and you open up a can of worms and give them any rights whatsoever, and there's a problem, you've already given them the rights.
Well, if
someone gets hurt, there's no one left to sue because they're bankrupt, they haven't been making payments. And I'm not saying these people wouldn't. I hope it's successful. I think it's a beautiful place.
Right.
I just hate to see it go down that ugly road that it certainly could. Well, who built that deck to begin with without the city's permission? Was it the last owners?
No, the city built it.
The city built it?
Right.
This is getting more and more confusing as we go on. Now, why did the city build this?
Well, there were a series of improvements that were part of a state grant to that area for riverfront access. That includes pathways, trails, and there was a viewing platform there. And for reasons I'm not entirely clear on, this structure was built as a deck attached to the building, which makes it more than just a trail or a viewing structure. Like I said, I didn't agree in retrospect with that decision, but it's there, and I think what we have to do now is it's obviously going to be used by that business, and I think we have to make sure that it's done in a legal way that compensates the city taxpayers for its value, because that does have value.
But the value was done with a grant anyway.
It's money. It's public money.
Can we look into the records and see how much that grant was and how much was put into it, and just add that into the selling price, and then be over and done with it, and the city's off the hook for any responsibility?
But the city's not selling it to them.
Well, why wouldn't the city sell it to them? The city wants that?
No.
I mean, like right now, while it's not open, can I go over there and use it just as a city resident?
Yeah. You can go stand on the deck right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. That might be a good place for... I didn't realize that. No one's ever said that before.
But as far as adding something to the selling price, the people doing the selling are whatever the bank is that owns it. Now,
I know, but if they're selling that piece of property, now say when this does sell to this person, this is still a piece of city property that anyone can just go there and bring their lunch and hang out on their deck and...
Right. Yeah, that's why I think it would have been better to, once the decision was made to build that deck, to sell that piece of property. We're being told you can't do that because of constitutional restrictions on riverfront property, that you would require an act of the state legislature to correct that. So,
who signed off on having that attached to the building?
That's unclear at this point.
That would be the person I'd be... Were you the mayor then, or was that before you? Or
yeah.
Or?
No doubt about it. It's, it happened.
Oh, that's very confusing part of the puzzle that hasn't really been brought up. That's very strange.
Well, I mean, if you can certainly watch last night's meeting on Steve Weed Productions or whatever it is, and then you can, listen to the debate on it. But, at this point, if the gentleman's going to buy it and his business partners, then it would be incumbent on everybody to see that it's successful. And I think if you're going to use that deck for commercial purposes, then I think it should be reserved for that, and if that's the case, then there should be compensation paid for it. That's my opinion. That may not be the majority opinion, and but in any event, I think it was better that I had asked the subject be brought up now, so that it didn't get brought up a week before ribbon cutting, and then all of a sudden there's all sorts of leaks.
Well, I guess now it's better than never, but it's a little bit late on the whole thing. It should have been brought up and just put into place exactly how it's going to be when the deck was built. I had no idea the city built that deck. That's very, very enlightening.
Yeah.
Is there any other structures like that around that you know of?
No, but I expect everybody's going to ask for their free deck now. So, no, there aren't.
Yeah, well, that's kind of unique.